Alright, Trimble. Tekla Structure Design 2018 User Guide, July 2018-2008, Trimble Solutions Corporation. Table of Contents. Basic Tekla Structure Design. About Tekla Structure Design. Tekla Structure Design Philosophy. How does Tekla Structure Design way of working differ from traditional methods? Interface Overview. Interface Components File. Menu. Quick Access Toolbar. View Cube. Ribbon. Project Workspace. Structural T. Structural Tree. Group Trees. Loading Trees. Wind Model Tree. Status tree, cutting planes, report index, in scene views, basic tooltips, select any tooltip, property windows, property dialog, scene content, loading, drop list, process window, status bar, hidden redisplay, move the windows to auto hide over the window to close window, redisplay window that have been closed, move the window to a new location, dock window, tab page, another window, to open a tab page, another window, to document window using dock and control commands on your ribbon toolbars, right click menu commands, apply property set, check member, check panel, check patches, check plane patches, check plane slab, check slab truss, check walls, copy, create property set, design element, design member, design patches, design plane, mat, plane patches, design plane slabs, design slabs, truss, design walls, edit, generate detail drawing, interactive design, opening loading analysis view, open member view, open view, redraw report for a member, save screenshot, save view configuration, show member loading, undo, redo, zoom out, zoom to, selection, keyboard function, customizing appearances of the user interface, working with project workspace, working with structural T, working with group T, how do I reapply automatic grouping in order to reset manual edited groups, how do I split an existing member group into smaller groups, how do I manually move the existing member between groups, how do I remove the existing member group, how do I rename groups, work with loading tree, work with wind model tree, pressure zones, wind directions, wind load cases, how do I use wind model to tree to display wind direction view, working status tree for the report index, working scene views, regimes, scene content, opening, closing, saving the scene views, how do I open 3D view with the entire structure, how do I open 3D view existing submodel, how do I view a single member, how do I open 2D view existing construction level, how do I open 2D view existing frame, how do I open a 2D view existing slope plane view configurations, how do I close a view, zoom pan, rotating, walking through scene views, how do I zoom in, zoom out, zoom extent, how do I pan the view, how do I manually rotate the view, how do I use view cube to display one of the preset views, how do I work with the model in 3D view, how do I display 2D and 3D, control scene content, how do I display scene content window, how do I make selection scene content windows, how to reinstall the default scenes content selection, scene content in the continue category, scene content plan, category view, regime, structural view, solver view, result view, wind view, review view, changing view regime, scene view, tab groups, create new tab group, existing view tab, create a tab group using dock and control to move views between tab groups, working with command prompt, selecting entities, how to select an individual entity, further entities, current selection, selecting multiple entities, drag by a dragging box, how to deselect single entity with current selection, how do I deselect all entities, entity selecting using find, member selecting using structure T, member selecting using group T, entity node, starting a new project, home toolbar, creating a new project from scratch, how do I create a new project from scratch, working with templates, how do I create a new template, how do I create a new project from a template, model settings, how do I apply with the manage model settings dialog box, edit project details using project wiki, how do I edit project details, view version history, how do I record revisions, model and editing guide, model toolbar, level groups, grade, construction line group, steel group, concrete group, slab group, timber group, cold form group, panels groups, miscellaneous group, validated construction level dialog. How do I open construction level dialog? How do I insert single construction level? How do I insert multiple construction levels? How do I make one level of identify identical copy from another? How do we make one level an independent copy from another? How do we make a construction level? How do we modify the properties associated with the level of frame slope? How do I create a frame? How do I create slope? Grid line, construction lines, architectural grid lines. Where are the grid lines not shown with a particular level? How do I apply existing architectural grid to a specific level? How do I create a rectangular grid line system? How do I create a radial grid line system? How do I create a single grid line between 2 points? How do I create a parallel grid line? How do I create one or more parallel quick grid lines? How do I create a perpendicular grid line? How do I create a grid arc? How do I import grids from the .dxf or to import DXF as a shadow? How do I set initial number of letters used on the grids? How do I change the name or color existing architectural grid? How do I change the name of the individual grid line arc? How do I renumber all the grids? How do I extend, move, rotate grid lines and arcs? How do I stretch the shorten, rotate grid line? How do I move a grid line perpendicular direction? How do I stretch a shorten a grid arc? How do I adjust the radius of the grid arc? How do I move the grid arc construction lines? How do I create a rectangular construction line system? How do I create the radial construction line system? How to create a single construction line between 2 points? How to create a parallel construction line? How to create one or more parallel quick construction lines? How to create a perpendicular construction line? How do I create a construction line arc? How to extend, move, rotate construction line arcs? How to stretch, shorten, rotate construction line? How do I move construction line perpendicular to a perpendicular direction? How do I stretch, shorten construction arc? How do I adjust radius construction arc? How do I move the construction arc? Dimensions. How do I create a single dimension? Steel cold rolled cold form member modeling model steel columns cold form column steel column overview parpet post overview. How do I specify the column type section size? How to create a single column 2D view? How to create a series of columns in 2D view? How do I create a single frame column and frame or structural view? How do I align column of specific angle grid line? How do I create an inclined column? How do I create a crank column? How do I create a plated compound section steel column? How do I create concrete field encased concrete steel column? How do I create a gable post, parapet post? How do I specify column splice? How do I modify position single column stake? How do I modify position of the entire column? Model steel beams, cold form beams, steam beam, steel beam overview. How do I specify the beam type, section size? How to create a single span beam? How to create plated compound section steel beam? How to create Westtock cellular Westtock plated in fab sec beam? How do I create a series of single span beams? How to create a continuous beam? How do I add a hunch to existing beam? How do I create a curved beam? How do I modify a position beam? Metal steel braces, cold form braces, steel brace overview. How do I specify the brace time, section size? How do I create a single brace? How do I create an XKVA brace? How would I modify the position of the brace? Modeling steel joints. How do I specify the joist type size? How do I create a steel joist? How do I modify the position of steel joist? Modeling steel truss. How do I use the steel truss wizard? How do I use the space truss wizard? How do I find freeform truss? How do I edit geometry existing steel truss? How do I edit section size, material grade, section orientations in existing steel truss? Modeling portal frames. How to create a single span portal frame? How to create a multiple span portal frame? How do I edit properties existing portal frame? Modeling cold rolled sections. How do I create a single cold rolled section? How do I modify the position cold rolled section? Modeling web openings. How do I add web openings? Quick layout. How do I add web opening manually? Compound section, concrete member molding concrete walls, concrete wall overview. How do I specify whether the wall is to be measured mid-pier? How do I create a concrete wall with a 2D view? How do I create a concrete wall with a frame and structural view? How do I specify the extensions? How do I specify the release? Automatic support generation. How do I edit wall support? How do I create a door window opening with existing concrete wall? Modeling concrete columns. Concrete column overview. How do I specify the column shape and size? How do I create a single concrete column in a 2D view? How do I create a series of columns in 2D view? How do I create a single column frame and structure view? How do I align column specific angle with an angle grid line? How do I specify the column alignment relative to the grids? How to create a hollow column, inclined column, and crank column? How to modify the position of single column stack? How to modify the position of the entire column? How to edit the column alignment? Specify an offset metal concrete beam overview. How do I specify a beam size, create single span concrete beam? How to create a continuous concrete beam? How to create a series of concrete beams? How to create a curved concrete beam? How to specify beam alignment relative to the grid, how do I specify U of the beams for existing beam, how do I specify beam flanges for multiple beams simultaneously, how to edit the beam alignment to specify offset, how do I modify the position of the beam, slab modeling, overview, slab of modeling, concept, slab panels, panel subdivision, creating slab panels, how do I choose the slab type, specify its properties, how do I specify the parent slab with the parent panel, what belongs, how do I create a slab panels by bay, how do I create slab panels by points, model slab matting openings, how to create a rectangular slab opening, how to create a circular slab opening, how to delete a slab opening, editing overhang existing slab and mat edges, add overhang to slab edge, add over the curved overhang to a slab edge, modeling column drops, how to create a column drop, splitting, joining slabs and mats, how to split a slab, how to join slabs, slab steps, how to modify the shape and size of the panel, how to modify the panel by moving the node, how to modify a panel by moving the edge, how to apply with the curves edge of the existing slab items, how do I complete the entire slab from my model, timber member modeling, model timber columns, create a singular how do I create a single timber column 2D view, how do I create a series of timber columns 2D view, how do I create a singular column, single timber column and frame or structural view, how to align columns with specific angle grid line, how do I create an inclined column, how do I create a crank column, how do I modify the position single column stack, how to modify the position entire column, modifying timber beams, how do I create a single span timber beam, how do I create a series of single span timber beams, how do I create a continuous timber beam, how do I create a curved timber beam, how do I modify the position of the beam, modeling timber braces, Alright, how do I create a single timber brace, how do I create an XVA brace, how to modify the position of the brace, modeling timber trusses, how to use the timber truss wizard, how to use the timber space truss wizard, how to define freeform timber truss, how to edit section, material grade, sections, orientation, existing timber trusses, panel modeling roof planes, how do I create a roof plane, how do I edit with the property roof plane, model wall panels, how to create wall panel, edit the property for the wall panel, how to create. It just skipped. Alright, we're going to come back to this. It's a 600-page book. The table of contents is kind of long, so let's get started. Basic Tekla structure design. About Tekla structure design. Tekla structure design is a tool structural engineer, integrated model-based solution, 3D solution analyst, design multi-material structures. Tekla structure design features interactive modeling, automated structural analysis, design drawing, report creation. Tekla structure design supports multiple design codes, including ACI, ASIC, Eurocodes, British, Indian, and Australian standards. Tekla standards structural design philosophy. One of the main aims of Tekla structural design is to allow for the rapid build of the model with applied loads of the design and appropriate set of the design forces. On a day-to-day basis, you need to know the involved underlying analysis model required to achieve. Instead, you can focus on the design result. To make this possible, program automatically creates and analyzes multiple solver models, each being based on a different but widely accepted approach. By designing the forces from all solver models, you can be confident that each of the scenario has catered for. How does the Tekla structural design way working different from the traditional method? The traditional method of analyzing design process might be summarized under the following headings: provide a way input and describe the model, analyze it, design it, produce calculation, produce drawings. Similar process involved with the Tekla structural design. The exemption is the analysis and the design are merged into a single process. The result workflow is as follows: 1. Input the geometry and loads. A key requirement these days with the bill and info material integration, the ability to able to transform the data with one application to another. Tekla structures design has tool that automatically import model data from neutral files and form 3D DXF. To facilitate this, of course, you can always use the build the model directly. Quick Start Guides covers many of the model techniques required to achieve the further mention is required here. Once the physical model has been created, the next step is to load it. A wide range of loads can be applied with a flexible system of load cases. A wind load generator available to automatically create the wind load cases. Load combinations can also be generated automatically. You should consider pattern loading. Pattern beam loads can be created with the automatically patterned slab loads can be manually created for design slabs. 2. Combined analysis and design. Tekla structural design automatically performs analysis required to enable the member to design to proceed in an effective analyzing analyst data. The exception of slab design are combined into single automated processes. 3. Produce reports. A wide range of calculations can be created which can tailor extensively to meet your specific requirements. 4. Produce drawings. Beam and column detail drawings can be produced. Member schedules can also be produced. 1. While multiple materials can be analyzed, design is only supported for concrete and steel members. Interface overview. Interface components. The file menu button. The file menu contains the command with the use of the form file related to operations. Show the new button creates a new blank project from scratch. The open button, existing project, save the currently open project, save as currently open project to a new name or a template, save model only, save smaller model only files without analyst results which can be easily shared amongst the project team, close the current open project, print the current open view, start revisions, record changes to the revisions of the project, send an email, creates new email for the project attached, exit prompts you to save the open project, then close the program. The quick access toolbar. The quick access toolbar displays commonly used commands new, open, save, undo, redo, delete, and validate. View cube. In 3D views, click the vertex edge of the face of the view cube to rotate the model to preset views. Shows the view cube. The ribbon consists of a number of toolbars placed on the tab. Each toolbar contains related commands organized in logical groups. We have file, home, model load, analyst report, draw, and windows. In the toolbar tab, you see home, new, open, close, save as, and a group. The next group would be project wiki, model settings, and then the next group would be bill of materials, structural bill, import, Tekla structures, export, Revit, structure export, cloud expert, robot expert, telefile, import, materials, has its own group, and that's command, and license manager. Project workspace is a central location organizing entire model to the hierarchical structure. The structure shows level, frames, architectural grid, submodes, members, slabs, walls, roofs, result strips, slab patches, punching checks, and it's structural, and then it has a working tabs as group, loading, win, status, and report index, and that is your structural, your hierarchical structure. Because the project works and provided access to a whole range of functions is a key tool for creating control of your model. Structural T. Level and grid elements, certain of the model properties are accessible with the structural T located in the structure tab of the project workspace. Structure shows levels, end frames, architectural submodes, members, slab, roofs, walls, reset in the structural tab in the structural tree. The groups T, the groups located with the groups of the project workspace, give the organized member the design detail in groups. If you move the groups, you can see the design and detail categories. The loading tree on the loading tab of the project workspace is usually the summate total loads applied to each load case and combinations. So now we have, we summate the total loads applied in each load case and combinations. You have load case and combinations in the load tab. Win model tree. Win model tree located in the window tab of the project workspace is usually the axis wind direction views and wind load cases. Show the pressure zone, wind direction 0, 90, 180, 270 and wind load cases. Status tree. The status tree located in the status tab of the project workspace is usually the review of the status of the model analyzed and have been performed. It also displays import export status. So from the status, we have variation, model analysis and design, model geometry, wind, model meshing, decomposition, solver, first order, linear, grillage, chase down, FE, chase down, and bill of materials, and it scrolls down there, still status. That is your status tree from the project workspace. Cutting planes. The cutting planes is a symbol to display in the bottom right-hand corner of the scene view with any of the cutting planes currently active. The report index is located in the project workspace. The report is displayed and contains marks for the user to move it around the report. So over here in the project workspace, we have the figure structure, construction level, the load case summary, combination summary, envelope, foundation, reactions in the report index tab. Scene views, 2D and 3D, solver views, model sub-model frames, construction level, and individual members displayed in tab windows. User grid shows the 3D column and a 3D view cube, and your UCS and the building as it looks. 2D, we see the floor plan, 2D version, basic tool. Basic tooltips display with the name of the basic tooltips display with the name of the command. We also include brief description of the function. So we have settings, material, license manager, settings, change and save, retrieve settings for file future modes. Select any tooltip programs automatically select the mode, but no other commands are being performed. In this mode, you can hover the cursor over the entity, but the name will be displayed and select any tooltip. So we've hovered over the entity and we've invoked the select entity tooltip, and with correct entity displayed, click and select it. The several entities displayed, you will control one will be selected by using the tab or cursor keys. Property windows facilitate input, review, editing, model properties, show the properties such as steel column rolled. You can save the delete, general name, username, group, plane, characteristic, element type, material type, construction, fabrication, auto design section in the general tab, and then it's used to follow up the input data of the command is run with the toolbar. Review, edit existing properties of the individual. Multiple items are selected in the scene view. The view, edit property of the branch of the project workspace is selected. Properties displayed vary according to the selection, how they're generally editable unless they are dimmed, in which case they cannot be changed. A key feature of the property windows is that it enables you to editing multiple and selected items in one go. Existing property selected items in one display, whether they are identical or all selected items, whether they differ in property fields left empty. By default, property windows is initially docked at the bottom left of the main window, and you can reposition it if required. Property dialog. Property dialog is you viewing editing properties associated with an individual model object. Display with right-clicking the object, graphical display, picking the edit option, context menu that appears. So it shows the properties as CB4H8 and shows general size, reinforcement, alignment, release, nominal coverage, design control, design parameters, seismic. In the general tab, we have characteristics as a beam, element type is and the material type, concrete, construction type, fabrication, reinforce, automatic design, select bars from start, from current, or OK and cancel. The scene content window is used to control the display content of the 2D and 3D scenes. We have the entity category on the left, and then it's brought into the entity information control on the right. The window contains entity categories, which checkbox. Some categories have arrow symbols to their side, indicating subcategories. Clicking the arrow on the symbol in order to see these. The checkbox controls whether the entire category associated information is displayed. Simply select the entities you want to see. Clear those that you don't. Entity information control lists the information in each category that will be displayed. When clicked, expand the drop-down list menus, allowing you to select information required. Loading and the loading drop list is permanently docked at the bottom edge of the window. It shows the show process, a load case, a combination, and an envelope, and then the drop list shows the self-weight existing lab, slab, well-weight, dead, surface, and post. Its two main functions: selecting a specified load case to add loads into, selecting a specified load case combination envelope view of the results for. When reviewing viewing results, first click load case combination and envelope button as required to choose the specified load case combination envelope name of the drop list. Process window. Initial process window is minimized and can display by showing the process button located at the left end of the status bar. When you analyze the design model, each step of the process is logged and displayed in the window. Okay, so it shows the process, your time, your message, and your duration. Window is minimized in the status bar. If warning and errors have been detected, they are flagged. Thus, they show a triangle shows process and an X shows process. Such warning and errors shall all fully be investigated to have a diverse, effective design. the status bar on the left, it showed that the analyzing design validated the indicators, the metric as unit system design code, the cursors, coordinates, the view regime buttons, and the coordinate display, absolute, relative, or polar, 3D or 2D button. Status bar is permanently docked to the bottom edge of the main window with performing a number of different functions. It provides feedback by indicating and analyzing design validity. Hover each over the indicators to display further the details. The unit system can be set to the metric or US customary, the design code, and the 2D views coordinate for the cursor relative to the global origin. The view regime buttons can be used to switch view regime applied to active scene view. You have structural view, show the geometry and loading. Solver view, show the analyst model. Results view, show the analyst results. Win view, show the win model. View, graphically integrating the model and property status. It's set in the display method with the coordinate tooltips. You have absolute, ABS, REL for relative, and POL for polar. 2D views, the 3D and 2D toggle buttons activated. 2D content, 2D view is displayed in the plan. 3D content, the 2D view is displayed in isometric. Hiding, redisplaying, and moving windows. The property windows of the process window. Scene content, each of the project workspace tabs shown below are displayed in the windows that can be resized with a repositioned docked edge with another window. So once we're back in the structural mode, we have structural level frame, architectural grid, submembers, members, slabs, walls, roofs, result strips, slab patches, punching checks, structures. The auto hide window, to increase the area available to graphic display, you can choose to auto hide any of the windows. Clicking the window auto hide option as icon, and it shows a pin. Window contracts immediately. Window will contract immediately to a tab. Click on the window tab to expand it. The triangle with here, you can only do this if the window is docked against the edge of the. You can only do this if the window is docked against the edge of the main window. To close a window, user guide. Click the X icon to the top of the right window. To redisplay the window that has been closed, click the Windows tab. In the view group, click the window name. If the window is already switched to the control, emphasize with the view group. To move the window to a new location, grab the window. It's by its handle and title bar top window. Drag it to the new location. If it places the window over the edge of the main window, over the divider within it, will dock the edge of the divider. To dock a window and tab page in another window, we'll group the window by its handle with the title bar at the top of the window. Drag it to over the title bar, over the window, over the tab group of the other windows. To open a tab page in another window, click the tab and drag it to the new location. Open the new window. To dock a window with the docking control, when grabbing the window, drag it over to another window. Docking control appears in the middle of the window. You can use the control dock window in a number of ways. It shows a docking system. Alright, to dock a tab window page, current window, drag the window over to the central button with the docking control, then release the mouse, then grab the window, become the tab of the current window. To dock a new window, edge of the current window, drag a window over the buttons, adjacent to the central button over the docking control, release the mouse, grab the window docked above, with the below, with the left, with the right, with the current window, depending on the button, choose into the docking control. 3. Dock with the new window, edge of the main window, drag and grab the window over the outer button with the docking control, then release the mouse. Grab windows as docked over the top and bottom left, the right, over the main window, depending on the button chosen for the docking control. Commands on the ribbon toolbars. The majority of the commands organized with the toolbars located in the ribbon of the Home tab, toolbar, editing toolbar, load toolbar, zone load toolbar, analyzing toolbar, design toolbar, report toolbar, draw toolbar, result toolbar, review toolbar, review data toolbar, loading analysis toolbar. Right click menu commands. Apply property set. Using an apply property set command to display select property set dialog so that the previous saved property can be applied with the currently highlighted element. Check member. Using check member command to check the individual member using existing static or RSA analysis result. Result dialog is displayed allowing detailed calculations to be viewed. To do any of the following: to do this, do that. To check and do this. A member from 2D or 3D. Hover the mouse over the member. If different entity is highlighted, press down arrow cursor on the cursor key until the current reference is shown in the select entity toolbox. Tooltip. Right click and select the check member static RSA as required. A member from the structural T in the members branching located with the member's reference. Right click and check the member and static RSA as required. Check panel. Using check panel commands to check with the highlighted slab panel using existing analysis result. The result dialog displayed allowing the detailed calculation to be viewed. Hover with the mouse pointer over the panel. If the different entity is highlighted, press down arrow the cursor key until the cursor reference is shown on the select entity tool tip. Right click and select the channel panel. Check panel. Check patches. Use check patches to command each of the check all slab patches, model just those in the current level slope, use the existing analysis results. Doing the following to check and to do this. All patches in the models, right click on the 3D structural view and select check patches. All patches in current level or slope, right click on the level or slope view, check and select check patches. Check plane. Using check plane command, perform check all of the members selected plane. Using existing analysis from result, doing any of the following. All members level to do and to check and do this. All members in a level, right click the level in the structural tree, select check plane. All members in the frame, right click the required frame in the structure tree and check the plane. All members in slope, right click the required slope in the structure T and check plane. Check plane patches. To use check plane patches command with the perform check all patches selected plane using existing analysis results. Doing the following to check the all patches in the level. To do this, right click on the required level in the structural T, select check plane patches. All patches in slope, right click the slope in the structural tree and check plane patches. Check plane slabs. Using check plane slabs command, perform check all slabs selected plane using existing results. To check all slabs in level, right click required level in the structural T, select check plane slabs. All slabs in slope, right click on required slope in the structural T, check plane slab. Check slabs. User guide to check slab command, check all 3 slabs, model just in zone on the current level slope, even existing results. Doing the following to check all the slabs in the model, right click with 3D structural view and then check slabs. All slab in the current level or slope, right click on the level of slope view, check slabs. Check truss. To check truss command, perform check all of the truss member, the highlighted truss with existing analysis result of the result dialog displayed along. Detailed calculation to be reviewed. Hover the mouse pointer over the truss. If the different entity is highlighted, press down arrow cursor key until the correct reference is shown in the show. Select any tooltip. Right click and select check truss. Check wall. Using check wall command, check for the highlighted wall with existing analysis result of the result dialog displayed allowing the detailed calculation to be reviewed. Hover over the mouse pointer over the wall. If that entity highlighted with the drop down arrow the cursor key until the correct reference is shown and select any tooltip. Right click and select check wall. Copy. Copy existing selected entities to a new location on the model. Create a property set. Create a new property set based on the property of the currently highlighted element. Delete element. Delete the currently highlighted element. Design member. Using design member command to perform the design highlighted member or slab panel. The result dialog is displayed along with a detailed calculation to be viewed. Design member ignores the auto design setting of the member and it will always perform a design even if the auto design property is off. Designing a member does not perform an analysis before its design. It always uses existing analysis results even in the analyzed status of the out of date. To do any of the following, to design, do this. A member of the from 2D or 3D view, hover the mouse over the member. If the different entity is highlighted, press down arrow cursor with the cursor reference shown and select entity tooltip. Right click and select the design member static RSA as required. Member from the structural T in the members branch located with the member reference. Right click, select design member static RSA as required. Design patches. Using design patches command with the perform checker design according to individual auto design settings. All slab patches model just over the current level slope. Design patches does not perform an analysis before designing it. Always use the existing analysis result even if the analyst stats out of date. Doing the following to design and do this. To design all patches in the model, right click on the 3D structural view, select design patches. To design all patches in the current level or slope, right click the level or slope view. Select design patches. Design plane. Using design plane command with the perform check with the design according to individual auto design settings with all the members of the plane according to individual auto design settings. The command requires at least one member of selected plane to the auto design mode. If any group member of the design group member design is on, all members of the group are considered in the design even if they are not selected plane. Design plane does not perform an analysis before designing. It always uses existing analysis result analyst stats for the out of date. Do any of the following. To do any of the following, to design all members in the level, do this. Right-click the required level of the structural T and select Design Plane. All members in the frame, right-click the frame in the structural T and select Design Plane. All members in a slope, right-click the required slope in the structural tree and select Design Plane. Design plane patches. Using design plane patches command with a form check of the design according to individual auto design settings. All patches plane according to individual auto design settings. Command requires at least one patch selected plane in the auto design mode. Design plane patches does not perform an analysis before it designs always give the existing analyst results, so even if the analyst status is out of date. Do any of the following. To do any of the following, to design all patches in the level, right-click the required level in the structural T, select the design plane patches, all patches in slope, right-click required slope in the structural T, design plane patches. Design plane slabs. Using design plane slabs, command to perform checker design according to individual auto design settings. With all the slabs plane according to individual auto design settings, the command requires at least one slab in the selected plane to be in auto design mode. Design plane patches does not perform an analysis before it designed. It always use the existing analyst results, even in the analyst status for the out of date. Do any of the following. Design all level slabs in a level. Do this. Right-click the level in the structure tree. Select the design plane slabs. All slabs in the slope. Right-click the slope of the structural T. Select the design plane slabs. Design slabs. Command for the form checked in its design according to individual auto design settings. All slabs modeled just over the current level and slope. Design slab does not perform an analysis before the design. It always uses existing analyst result, even if the analyst status is out of date. Do any of the following to design and do this. All slabs in the model, right-click the 3D structural view, select the design slab. All slabs in the current level or slope, right-click the level or slope view and select Design Slab. Design Truss. Using Design Truss, command with the form check of the design according to individual auto design settings. All truss members with a highlighted truss, the result of the dialog displayed allowing the detailed calculation to be viewed. Design Truss does not perform an analysis before the design and always use the existing analysis result, even if the analyst status is out of date. However, the mouse pointer over the truss with a different end, with the highlighted press down arrow cursor key until the correct reference is shown. Select any tooltip. Right-click with the design truss. Requires at least one truss member in the highlighted truss to be in auto design mode. Design wall. Using design wall command to perform a design with a highlighted wall with the result of the dialog displayed along with a detailed calculation to be viewed. Design wall ignores auto design setting member of it will always perform a design even if the auto design property is off. Design wall does not perform analysis before design and always uses existing analysis results even if analyst status out of date. To do any of the following, to design and do this, a wall of 2D and 3D view, hover the mouse pointer over the wall, different ending of the highlighted press down, air cursor key with the control cross reference shown and figure select any tooltip, right click and select design wall static RSA as required. A wall from structural tree. In the wall's branch, locate the wall reference, right-click, and design wall static RSA as required. Edit. Display editing element properties dialogs. Open with the general page with the currently highlighted element, generated detailed drawing, creates the drawing with the currently highlighted member. Interactive design. The command is only available with the concrete beams and columns which will open the detailing shown with the existing design and highlighted member for the currently supplied reinforcement. However, there can be interactively modified with the reinforcement instantly see the results. Open the loaded analysis view. Open the loaded analysis view with the currently highlighted member. Open the member view with open the members contained with the currently highlighted member. The member toolbar to include the command with the edit member of the design creating a member. Report generating a member detailed drawing. Open view. Open the 2D view frame slope of the level contains currently highlighted panel. Redraw. Redraws update with the current view. Reports for a member. Opens report view with the currently highlighted member and save screenshot. Saves the currently displayed view with a PNG or a JPEG file. Save view configuration. Save currently displayed orientation zoom state with the active screen view under the given name. View configurations can be used in two ways. That can be included in the model reports. They can be reopened in new scene views as subsequent time. Show member loading. Show member loading. The member loading dialog tabulates all the loads applied with the currently highlighted member. To filter the member loading data with the load case source direction or type. Click the appropriate column header with the filter by load case source direction or type. From the drop list that appears with the clear categories that don't want to be displayed, and click close button under the drop list. Undo and redo. Undo and redo can be repetitively undo and redo operations in the sequence they were performed. Zoom out of the extent of the model. Zoom selection extends to the current selection, and keyboard functions perform the specific function Tekla structural design is listed below. F1 displays F2 enables keyboard input value for the data entry tooltips. F8 toggles display with the view cube in 3D views. Up and down cursors upscroll between entities of the selected entity tooltip when the multiple entities have been detected. Control holding control selecting adds when selecting adds to the current selection. Escape cancel for the current command. ZA zooms extent. ZS zooms to selection. Customizing the appearance of the user interface. Use skins change the appearance of the user interface to apply a new skin. Click window. Skins drop down list. Select the new skin from the list. Working with the Project Workspace. Project Workspace is a central control area with the model providing access to the range of functions. Different Project Workspace pages are accessed clicking the appropriate tab. Each of the page contains an expandable tree. Working with structural trees. Purpose of structural tree is organized model geometry hierarchical way. We open to the new model contains the two sub-branches shown below, levels and sub-models. Model geometry area developed the new branches are added when required. A branch or sub-branch is select the common property of the branch, and sub-branch are displayed in property windows where they can be edited. Working with group trees. Group tree is used to organize member of the design group of concrete members of the define these are organized in further groups of the detailing purpose. The application of the group application of grouping is most benefit in concrete structures. You can right-click group name in order to select all of the members in simultaneous visible views. If the user defined attributed to UDAs have been defined, they are also displayed as a group tree. So the members of the particular attributed value can be similar by selected visible views. How do I reapply automatic grouping in order to reset manual edited groups? The occasion when it comes necessary to reapply automatic grouping for a specified member of type. To regroup a specific member type in the groups tree, right-click the member type to be regrouped. And choose the regrouping member. The right-click menu grouping is reapplied to choosing a member type only. To regroup all member types, click the located group trees in the automatic regroup all member types and undo any manual grouping. How do I split existing member group into smaller groups? Right click on the group name, split in the group trees, choose split group in the right click menu. All members of the groups are placed in individual groups and in effect making them ungrouped. How do I manually move the existing member between groups? In group trees, opening group containing a member is moved. Click drag member name over the group name which is moved. Provided the member meets the geometric criteria to be belong to a group, a small rectangle is displayed along the cursor at the point of release of the mouse button to move the member to the new group. If the member does not meet the geometric criteria to belong to the group, the cursor will display with the barred circle. How do I remove the existing member group? Right-click the group name to remove the group trees. Choose the remove group with the right-click menu. All members of the group are placed in individual groups and affecting making them ungrouped. How do I rename groups? Manually rename an individual group's current project in group trees. Right-click the group name, rename. Check with the regroup name. Rename group for the right-click menu. Modify the group name. Defaults of future project. Click Home Settings. In Settings Sets page of the dialog setting, select the settings set to be updated. You can update any sets simply by selecting the drop list into that does not need to be activated. If the grouping page for the dialog review edited with the default group names as required. 4. If you change any of the settings, click OK to save the changed selected settings to act as defaults for future projects when the set is active, or cancel the changes. Working with loading tree. The loading tree is organized in load cases, combinations of hierarchical structures. It also provides summary with each of the load case that could be used to cross-check the sum of the reactions to determine each of these analyses performed against the sum of loads applied. The status of each load case combination is indicated as follows. The green check mark is the total reaction equilibrium with the total load of the structure. The X is the total reaction not in equilibrium with the total load structure. The question mark is the total reaction not available. Working with wind model tree. Once the wind model processing has been completed, wind model tree can be used to display with the resulting wind model views. It comprises the following branches. Pressure zone. Solely indicate the pressure zone calculations have been performed. Wind direction. Each of the wind direction view can be displayed from here. Wind direction depend properties that can be accessed through the relevant wind direction view that can be edited selecting the relevant roof and wall elements. Wind load cases can be created with the edited from there. How do I use the wind model tree to display the wind direction direction view. The direction-dependent property for the access through the relevant wind direction view for the edited selecting the relevant roof or wall elements. Right-click the direction of the wind direction branch for the tree. Check open view. Choose open view for the right-click menu. Working with status tree. The status tree is used for the review validation status for the model. See valid validation. Validation status for analysis. Analysis model variation performed automatically as part of the analyst process. Decomposition status branch indicates the load decomposition has successfully completed. Solver status. The branch lists the analysis which have been performed. A tick indicates the analysis was successful. The result are available to view. The BIM validation. If the model has been exported to Robot or Revit, these are any of the warnings areas that relate to the import-export are listed on the branch. The report index. When a report view activated, the report index can be used to locate the display specific section of the multiple-page report. Working with scene view, the view regimes, and scene content. Display views of the model or part of it in the tabbed window of the different scene views can be created with the 3D views, 2D planes, frames, and planes, and individual members. For each scene view, you choose on the view regime appropriate to the task being performed. The different regimes available include regime with creating structure, separate regimes, viewing analysis mode, wind model analysis result of the design. There is also a load analysis view displaying force and momentum designer diagrams of individual members. Opening and closing, saving the scene views. Multiple scene views can be displayed simultaneously. Tab window docked with the main window. If required, specific views are permanently saved with the view configurations. How do I open a 3D view with the entire structure? Open the structural tree. Double click the structure to open them. Right click to open a. How do I open 3D view existing submodel? Open structural T. Click the plus sign to the left. Go to submodels. Show all the currently defined submodels. Then double-click the individual submodel to open and right-click to open. And how do I open a 3D view? A single member. To open a single member view within another view, hover the cursor over the member, which it becomes highlighted. Then right-click, then open member and member reference view for the context menu. To open a single member view of the project workspace, open structural tree. Close the plus sign to the left of the members. Expand the appropriate sub-branches display with the member reference. Right-click the required member reference. Choose Open View. How do I open a 2D view existing construction level? Open structural tree. Click the plus sign to the left of the levels to show the construction level in your model. Double-click the individual level to open it. Right-click to open. Before creating a 2D view construction level, you must have the created level. Before you can view a 2D view construction level, you must create the level in your model. How do I open a 2D view existing frame? Open structural tree, click the plus sign to the left of the frame, show all the frames in the model, then double click the individual frame, open, right click, open it. Before you can view a 2D view for the frame, you must have created the frame in your model. How do I open a 2D view existing slope plane? Click the structural tree, plus sign to the left of the slope, show all the slopes in the middle, then double click the individual slope to open. Before you can view the 2D view slope plane, you must have created the plane in your model. View configurations. On scene view, they have been orientated to show the specific area of the model. It can be saved the required view configuration. View configurations can be used in two ways. They can be included in the view of the model reports in which they retain the scene content settings that were placed in the view configuration was saved. That can be reopened in the new scene view subsequent time in which they adopt the scene content settings are currently in place. To save the view configuration, right click on the view of the save view configuration. The context menu. Enter the descriptive name and click OK. To reopen the save view configuration, click the home, manage view configuration, click view configuration required. Click open to delete view configurations, like home, main view configurations, click the view configuration, click to delete. How do I close view? Click the X icon on the top right of the view toolbar, zoom, panning, rotating and walking through scene views. Mouse is additional manual zoom, pan, rotate model with the orientation view required. Additional model can be rotated to the range of preset views using the view key, but walkthrough of the model is available for 3D views. How do I zoom in, zoom out, and zoom and extend? Manually zoom in and zoom out. The mouse wheel is used to zoom in and zoom out. Simply right click anywhere with the zoom and select out. Select zoom out from the menu. The keyboard shortcut ZA can also be found in zoom extend. How do I pan a view? Simply hold down the middle mouse button and drag it. Once you've achieved you've required release the mouse button. How do I manually rotate the view? If none of the standard view cubes views are appropriate, you can rotate the model to get just adjust the view you required. Simply right-click and hold the 3D view and move the mouse to perform the rotation. Once you've achieved the view you require, simply release the mouse button. How do I use the view cube to display one over the preset view? View cube provides quick access to the range of preset view, the 3D view. Move the cursor over the view cube to make it active. Simply use the methods below to choose the view that you want to see. Display one of the 8 isometric views. Click the required vertex view cube. The required vertex is not visible to the view cube. By clicking one over the other vertex is required on one appears. To display one over the 12 edge of the required edge of the view cube. If the required edge is not visible to the view cube, clicking the vertex adjacent with the required edge. Display with the 6 face of the view cube, click with the required view cube. If the required face is not visible to the view cube, by clicking a vertex again adjacent to the required face. Shows top left and in front. If the face is displayed, additional view cube control will become active. If the required face is not visible, you can roll the view cube to adjacent face by clicking one of the triangle controls. If the required face display with the orientation face is not correct, and can rotate clockwise and anti-clockwise, clicking one of the 2 control arrows. Pressing F8 toggles display a view cube on and off. How do I walk through a model in 3D view? On working with 3D view, it's sometimes useful to be able to walk through with a model. Click home, walk. This puts the walk mode. The arrow keys to move back and forth and left, right. The Q and Z to move up and down and rotate. Click and drag the right mouse button, exit to exit walk mode. How do I display 2D view in 3D? When you're working in a 2D view, it's often useful to display it in 3D. It gives you the 3D view while hiding the rest of the structure. You can switch between 2D and 3D by clicking into 2D toggle button. 3D, 2D toggle buttons located at the bottom right hand corner of the 2D view. Also at the right end of the status bar to the bottom of the right of the screen. If the 2D view is currently displayed in the plan, 3D and 2D toggle buttons will be labeled 3D. Click the 3D, 2D toggle button. If the 2D view is not displayed in 3D and the 3D, 2D toggle button changes to 2D, change the back to plan view, click 3D, 2D toggle button once more. Controlling scene content. Different entities type with a different level of the information associated with them. You can choose how much information is displayed each combination of scene view and a view regime. For example, a solver view is generally sufficient to represent the beam of the insertion lines. However, the physical model you are likely to include geometric outlines. In either ways view, but also choose the display with the direction arrows, possibility of the reference text also. Information displayed each of the scene view control to make an appropriate selection of the scene content. When used, scene content selections can be saved independently each section view. How do I display the scene content window? If the scene content window is not currently visible either because it is auto hide or because it has been closed, display the scene displaying the scene content window when it is set to auto hide. Scene content is set to auto hide. There is set to auto hide will be scene content tab located docked on one over the edge of the interface. Click with the tab to extend the window. Alright, shows the scene content window. We have architectural grids, construction point grids, members, slab, items, slab, openings, truss, and portal frames. And you'll see the scene content tab. When you finish making your selection, click anywhere in the scene view to hide it once more. Displaying scene content window after it has been closed. If the scene content has been closed, it can be reopened, reselecting scene content on the view group of the Windows toolbar. Alright, you can see the scene content view in the file properties windows or the view tab, windows, view tab, scene content. How do I make a section in the scene content window? Scene content window display with 2 column information. The left column and a list of the different entity categories. Some of the entities have the arrow symbol to the left of it indicating subcategories. Here you can arrow symbol. In order to see these, check by control of the entity associated information displayed. Simply select the entities you want to see and clear those you don't. In the right column, entity of the information control, the information each of the category will be displayed. Click the expand with the drop list menu, allowing you to select information required. Check the category. Certain checkboxes have subcategories indicating arrow signs. Then the selected checkbox indicates that the subcategories are currently displayed. Show the scene content, and you have scene content check. Clicking the arrows expands them. Expands the category, and you can check those. To hide a particular subcategory, clear it. Category clear it, but some and not all subcategories are cleared, and main category is shown shaded. The information displayed at each entity title can be controlled, expanding the entity information control. And we've seen that the steel beam, the at-knee control can be geometry, insertion line, loading line, normals, text, or direction. If you switch off the display of a particular at-knee type, then some of the commands after the at-knee type no longer can be performed. For the instant switch off of the display of slab items, then you cannot define slab area loads of floor, since there are no slab panels for you to select. Tip: if planar object slab, roof, area loads, etc. If over the start button for the performing selection current scene view of the scene content to switch off their display, assuming that you don't want to have then consider it in your selection. How do I reinstate with the default scene content selection? You don't have to worry about the change of the initial scene content configuration, as you can reinstate default selections at any time to discard of the current selections, reinstate with the defaults, close the view, reopen the view from the structural tree. Scene content at-knee categories. Scene content windows associated to indicate the at-knees are selected for the display of the current selection scene view. Although the at-knee categories listed for the current vary depending on the view type of 3D, 2D, and the view regime, structural solver, result, review, etc. Move categories are common in multiple views. These at-knee categories are generally self-explanatory, but some clarification may be useful. Architectural grids. The category is not displayed in 2D views. The category is used to show hide architectural grid lines in 3D views. When selected, they are displayed in lowest level in the model. That's your architectural grids. We see 1 and we see A and B. Grid construction lines can be displayed at any level of grid construction lines. The categories show the hide grid and construction lines at individual levels between 2D and 3D windows. We should then look at the properties level. We have the floor type, mesh two-way slabs, analysis, short name, long name, username, show or grid, plane view, and show grid 3D plane. Level of which the grids display, they're not displayed with control view of the property windows for each of an individual level. Grids are only displayed in 2D windows and show grids in plane view, and selected only just 3D. Show grids in a plane view is selected. Only display 3D windows if show grid is in 3D view is selected. Point. There are construction points CP. They are formed with connections between members. Point groups. They are advanced, used only with a number you show which switch off. The dimensions show any of the dimension that have been applied. Member trustees and portal frames. Members categories show the subcategories for each of the member type. Member trustees portal frames can each of the following any information displayed. Geometry show the face of the member by shading them. Now we have a shade. The different colors are used for the different member types. The view below show the concrete beam column and the geometry architectural grid selected. Colors are used to customize for setting scenes for the home toolbar. Insertion line to show a solid line between the start and the end of the node over the member. The view below show the same concrete beam column. Example, the insertion line architectural grid selected. Loading line to show a solid line through a center of the member. Any member loads are applied along this line, which may be an offset insertion line. Zoom in the view below, same with the concrete beam in the column. Example of the insertion line and loading line is selected. So over here we have a pink and a darker line. Normals, they usually require general uses can be selected in order to see with the normal direction each of the corner of the member. The view below show the same concrete beam in the column. Example with geometry and normal selected. Text. View show the member with the name, and the view member show the composite steel member. Example of geometry text selected. Text 2D, show the member name, section, class, 2D, plane, member. The view below the same is the same composite steel member, steel beam example, geometry, and text 2D selected. So now we have 2D and text 2D and 3D geometry is selected. Direction, show the direction from N1 to N2 of the member. If the direction is incorrect, it can be changed with the reverse command on the edit menu. View below, show the same composite steel beam example with the insertion line direction selected. So here we have the directions of the insertion lines. Bounding box. To usually require with the general use of potential selected in order to make it easy to right-click small cross-section examples. The view below show the same composite steel beam example of geometry and a bounding box selected. So I guess it showed the boxes around the members, and that's called bounding box selected. Decking. They show the strip of the decking connected to the member. The zoom of the view with the below show the same composite steel beams. Example, the geometry bounding box selected. Alright. Slab items. The categories for the show hide slab panels. Slab items can be found, have the following any information displayed: geometry shape of the top of the bottom side face of the slab panel, view below show of the above of the composite steel beam. Example of the geometry selected. Now we have a slab outline show of the outline of the parent slab. View button below show the same example of the slab outline selected. Slab item outline show the overall outline of individual slab item. View below show the sample example with only slab item outline selected. Snap direction show the snap direction symbol of views below show the same example slab item outline snap direction direction selected. Top reinforcement BTM reinforcement show the top of the bottom reinforcement symbols. The view of the below show the concrete slab example the top reinforcement and bottom reinforcement and span direction selected. Okay, here is a couple different symbols. A reinforcement T, they text label the reinforcement view should be the concrete slab example, the top reinforcement, bottom reinforcement text D, span direction selected, and then it shows the different directions. And text 2D show the slab item name and thickness of the 2D plane slab. View below show the concrete slab example, the 2D text 2D, span direction selected. So this is text 2D, span 3D, slab openings, geometry. Cross lines are usually represented the location of each of the opening concrete walls, and you have three subcategories: concrete walls, subcategories following it, and these information displayed. Geometry show at the top and bottom side face of the wall panel. Mesh this option is not used. To see the mesh, you must firstly clear the geometry and select the concrete walls inside of the 2D elements and leave the category instead. Edges show the left and right edge of the wall. Support show the wall support. So we have the support on the bottom, the edge, and the geometry wall elements. Subcategories show hide 1D element that exists in concrete walls model with the FE shells. Single wall element exists on the top of the wall as shown below. The model mid-pier additional wall elements are created along the base of the wall vertically through the middle of the wall. These walls elements have the same information and the information available as members. Show the wall element wall lines. Subcategories only relate to walls modeled by the FE shell. The wall lines are not displayed working solver model because they are only formed in a point analysis. Therefore, you have to switch on the scene content there, but they are still not being shown. Trying to change the solver model is being displayed. For the right-click menu will be the solver view. It shows and hides result lines. Use to determine the total internal forces of the wall mesh and also the wall line itself. The display of the forces results in the intuitive way. So it says unit coordinate system geometry and result lines. Wall lines have the following: any information. Geometry shows hides all the wall line. Result line shows hides result lines. UCS shows hides user coordinate system applied with the wall line. Bearing walls, the entire subcategories. Bearing wall subcategories have the following: any information displayed. Geometry shape, the top, bottom, side faces wall panel. Support shows the wall support. Wall element subcategory used to show the analysis elements of the bearing wall and the same the information analysis available as members. Wide panel roof panels. Wide and roof panels can have the following information displayed: geometry of the shape of the inner and outer face of the panel in the different colors. Snap direction show the snap direction symbol. Local accesses show the pub of the direction. Local access is loading. Alright, the subcategories different apply below the decomposed subcategories, which are useful visually checking how slab loads have been decomposed onto the member port analysis. Solver nodes, the nodes defined on the ends of the middle of the 1D element vertices of the 2D element, and now we see these solver nodes, and they're in purple in small circles. 1D element, their 1D element analysis model with having the following information. Geometry, a single line is used. The text that shows the element number. Ridge offset that's shown on the thicker line. Elastic extension portion of the 1D element that exists inside of the boundary of the connected member. Local axis system and applied with the 1D element can optionally be displayed. Relief, the end result can be displayed. Ridge offset, elastic extension geometry. Local axis releases. 2D elements. There are 2D fine elements that have been used in the analysis. 2D elements do not display the workings of the model when they have chosen mesh slab wall. Will recover the 2D elements are only informed at a point analysis. Therefore, switch them on scene content, but they still not been shown. Trying to change the solver model that being displayed. Right-click menu to solve the review. There are three subcategories. Shells. Subcategory specified that refers to 2D elements using slab mesh of the FE chase down model. Also, with 3D analysis model slabs have been meshed. Semi-rigid subcategory specifies refer to 2D elements used in the Model 1-way spanning slab that have been modeled in semi-rigid diaphragms. Concrete wall subcategory specifies to refer to the 2D element used in the concrete walls option even the mid-pier have not been selected. Okay, so over here we have a concrete wall, we have a shell diaphragm. The category is only available with the solver view. The category shows the height of the diaphragm, shade plane, flexible diaphragms, and mesh can also be shown. Slab, the category shows heights of slab mesh used in local decomposition. So once again we have the slab up here on the top. Supports category shows height, supports under columns and manually defined supports, but not only line supports over the concrete walls, which are commonly called controlled by concrete walls any category group. Okay, so here's a fixed support and a pin support. Result strips that define result strips can be planed across 2D element meshes from the strips or forces moment at result that is defined by shell plate membrane node analysis results. So we have a fixed support and a pin support. Over here we have a result strip. Slab patches. Concrete mode has created any slab patches you any of the control of the display. So this shows the strip boundary in the dotted line, and the blue line is your reinforcement, and the purple and the blue square is your geometry. Punching checks. In concrete models, they've created a punching check element used to any of the control of the display. Floor vibration checks, beams, the critical beams in each check view, critical slab, shade the critical slab item, each check, level frames and slopes, geometry show the extent of the level frame and slope at any pad base pile cap pile, geometry show the face for the pad base pile cap pile and shaping them center of the mass. For any given load case with a combination all gravity load self weight, slab dry alive, etc. applied with a given floor central action central of the mass, a point about which the load would balance its pin support were noticed in the location of the plan. You can usually graphically review each of the floor, each load case combination by hovering the cursor over the center of the mass. Tooltip displays its coordinates. So this shows the center. You can hover over it and we'll select the center mass and the coordinates. Center of rigidity. Any given the floor with the center of the rigidity, bending stiffness based on the stiffness of the structure of the supports, column walls, etc. below. Location rapidly approximated on the fly. For each floor, you will see the position constantly changing the model developments, and hovering the cursor over the approximate coordinations can also be displayed. So over the approximate center of rigidity. And since the center of the rigidity never actually gets into the textile structure design analysis design and not calculated accurately, the complex nature of the calculation would not necessarily extend over the model solution time. Plan. This special category only available in 2D views. See content plan category. See content plan category initial display with the 2D views configured model purposing. Consequently, by default, does not show the information will be output with the drawings created. However, any of the points selected the plan select category scene content in order to overlay one of the following planning area drawing variants of the 2D view: general arrangement, beam end force, foundation layout, load planning, slab mat layout. Each of the variations like choose the individual drawing layers to be overlaid. This can be useful for displaying information that otherwise not be available while it's modeling. Plan subcategories. The main subcategories beneath plan are as follows: general subcategory used to display gridding construction line dimensions as they would appear in the general arrangement drawings. Members subcategory used for displaying various different members types of labeled as they would appear in the general arrangement drawings. Walls subcategory used to display concrete walls labeled would appear on the general arrangement drawings. Slabs and mats subcategory display with the concrete slabs labeled that would appear on the general arrangement drawings. Reinforcement subcategory used the display of the slab reinforcement would appear on the slab detail drawings. And other subcategory used to display various other items that can be output with the general arrangement drawings. In the first release of the not yet possible to overlay the beam end force of the foundation reaction scene view, but it can however display with the general arrangement drawings. Tables. Subcategories used the displaying table the information that can be output with the general arrangement drawings. Connection subcategory displaying with the connection name and attribute to the reaction. 2. Use the plan category. Ensure the 2D view is active in the scene content. Select plan adjacent to the plan. Check the bay box to drop down list for the drawing variant. Only the layers exist in the general arrangement foundation layout. Loading plan slab mat layout drawings variants can be displayed. The subcategories beneath plan correspond with the drawing layers chosen in the drawing variant. Default layers are inactively matched to the first layer configuration drawing variant drawing settings. Adjust the layers displayed, selecting clear in the plan subcategories as required. Layers contain further control with the drawing options. Exactly with the same way with the control with the creating drawing themselves. Laying, colors, lines, alt types, fonts, font sizes, matches such as layer style for the drawing variant drawing style. Example, to illustrate the plan category, typically you would consider the following composite beam example, the AISC B68 ASD code, show the structure in a 3D view. And in below the floor view of the shear beam belonging where the model is being applied. This consists of the beam name, section grade, number of connectors, and transverse reinforcements. Also, it shows the 2D viewing with the different annotations for the beams. When Tekla structural design drawings are produced, it's likely the additional design information should be conveyed. For example, about the beam camber required. Camber is included in one of the drawing layers. It should also be included in the 2D scene view, provided if we know the layer belongs to procedure to following. Therefore, the 2D scene view showing the beam's active view, to opening scene content, selecting plane category, and then shows another, depending on the current size, seen in the content selection point, intentionally going to substantial duplication, access members, labeling, etc. 3. In the example, we display all the members of view that would appear on the drawing that is achieved. The clearing of the following in the main category, top of the scene, and the content list, and the members and slab items, selecting the following subcategories beneath the plan is shown. Shows plan, general member, steel beams, steel beam lines, marks attributed to steel beam, center line, decking, and steer connectors, walls, slabs, slab panels, slab text, slab line, slab load tags, column drop panels. Scene view is not clustered, not less. The scene view is now less cluttered as shown below. In this example, we further adjusted the drawing options as follows. From the draw toolbar, click edit in the option of the general arrangement beam, select the appended camber to section, click options, general arrangement slabs, click all the panel labeling, spanning direction symbol OK. The drawing is redisplayed, revised, and options applied. View regime. Different view regimes are available for physical mounting, structural geometry, loading, structural view, displaying and analysis mode, solid view, displaying analysis result view, displaying wind models, wind view, graphical integration, model properties, review view, structural views. Structural views offer physical modeling, structure of the aids grids in 3D or 2D, both geometry, loading, and typically defined in type of view. A new scene can be viewed, opened with a regime of the structure sheet with a project workspace, can change with the existing scene with a view with a regime of the status bar by right-clicking on the View tab. Solver view, 2D, 3D solver views are mainly used for the reviewing, integrating in an analytical model, but also can use the modeling purpose. The new scene can be opened in a regime structure sheet with a project workspace, chain with the existing scene with a view with a regime of the status bar by right-clicking the View tab. Results view, open automatically into the analysis view with a graphically display of the various analysis results. You can change with the existing scene view with a regime of the status bar with the right-clicking on the View tab. Wind view becomes available with the running of the Wind Wizard. They are used for the graphically displaying the wind zone. The zone loads detail with one of the Wind Wizards have been and changing the existing scene view with a regime from the status bar, right-clicking on the View tab. Review view. Review view opens automatically in with the design all static process the view with the graphically integrating the model set process status. You can change the existing scene view with the regime of the status bar by right-clicking on the open view tab, changing the view regime existing scene view with the switch with another mode with the status bar over the by right-clicking on the view tab, changing with the view regime with the status bar. Show the kind of a UCS little. These are your symbols on the status bottom right screen. Click one of the unselected buttons to activate the scene with a view to display the regime. Chain with the view regime active view tab. An opening scene view can be made with the activating left clicking on the tab. Once a view has been made, the active of the regime can be changed by right clicking the tab, selecting one of the other regimes in the right click menu. So you can right click on the tab and it will bring up your views. Scene view tab groups. Multiple view scenes are created with default active views visible, but they often used instead of the display view side by side, achieving the greater new tab groups. Alright, to create a new tab group with the existing view tab, right-click the existing view tab, right-click the menu, select the new horizontal tab group, the new vertical tab group as required. To create a new tab group, view the docking control. When grab view with the tab of the drawing with the docking control appear over the middle of the view, you can use the control of the new tab group. To create a new vertical tab group, draw over the grabbed view over the left or right button with the docking control, then release on the mouse. To create the new horizontal tab group, drag with the view over the top of the bottom of the docking control, then release the mouse. Move the view from between the tab groups, right-click with the view tab with the right-click the mouse menu with the move to the next tab group, working with command prompts. And we're going to cut the tape there at page 98.